Understanding how sleep changes across our life cycle can help us to understand changes in behavior. A lot of the things that we put down to puberty or just teenagers being teenagers, moodiness, irritability, lack of motivation, behavioral changes, all of these things are also symptoms of sleep deprivation. Is it in fact that teenagers aren't just naturally moody? It's that teenagers don't get enough sleep. We know, as Crowley et al. In 2007 said, that these hormonal changes lead to an upset in circadian rhythm, and they called it delayed phase syndrome. Teenagers actually have a normal circadian rhythm. It's just shifted by several hours so that they are more awake later in the night and they're more sleepy early in the morning. So maybe it's not that teenagers are all grumpy and miserable. Maybe it's that they're all just sleep deprived, and we should be adjusting society to fit in with their circadian rhythms, at least for the years in which they're teenagers. And in fact, Wolfson and Cascadon in 2005 suggested that the school day should be adjusted to fit in with them. So it should be adjusted so that it starts later and ends later, unfortunately, not ends earlier. Wouldn't that be lovely? So the teenagers are maybe starting at 10 o'clock and finishing at like 5 o'clock, um, in a way, kind of mirroring that circadian rhythm to maximize when they're most awake. Obviously, that's not how we do things. You have to be in school at 8:40. Would you perhaps be more efficient later on in the morning? I'm not sure. There isn't really enough data to support that idea. There are some school districts in the States and in other places that have attempted to look at how this works, but there's just not enough data for us to really be sure about it. Another age where sleep is very different to kind of the majority of people's sleep is in old age. Elderly people, as you said, spend a lot more time in light sleep, which accounts for the fact that they wake up more frequently during the night. Now, we're going to talk more about the impact of slow wave sleep, and in particular, the kind of release of growth hormone during slow wave sleep when we look at restoration theory. But it's enough for you to know that during slow wave sleep, this growth hormone is released, which is why younger children have longer in slow wave sleep. They get more growth hormone because they're growing more. Elderly people spend a lot less time in slow wave sleep, and that might explain why they are more frail, why they break bones easier, etc. And Van Kouter et al. Suggested that actually many of the symptoms of old age are symptoms of not getting enough slow wave sleep. A final piece of analysis is that this theory of the different stages of sleep might explain why dreams don't have any smell, why we can't smell anything during dreams, because that part of the brain is inactive during dreaming. In fact, our sense of smell is the only thing that sort of remains awake, as it were. So that part of the brain is inactive during dreaming, which means that there aren't any signals coming from that part of the brain to the neocortex to synthesize. So remember, we talked about activation synthesis, saying that that's the neocortex trying to figure out what all these signals that are coming from all the different parts of the brain, what they're all saying. Well, if there are no signals coming from the smell part of the brain, then there aren't going to be any signals to synthesize. And so that's why our dreams don't have any smell.